is the moment. So I want you to put your hands together and give a warm welcome to Chili Harris.
Thank you very much. This is a dream come true, really. It's funny. You know what I love about Jacques is he embraces awkwardness. And, so I knew coming in here that this was going to be good. He'll embrace this. And the fact that you guys come here week in and week out, you must be very good at embracing awkwardness and dealing with painful speaking. And so that makes me feel good that no matter how bad it goes, that you guys can deal with it. So, as Jacques said, I am not a comedian, just a regular schmo that just thought, hey, it would be funny to get up and tell some jokes and see how it goes. It's not my day job, and that will be painfully clear over the following 15 or 20 minutes. Maybe shorter. I hope everybody had a great Christmas. So I know we did. Funny thing, we survived the Christmas tree shortage. Anybody hear about that? Yeah, I have an artificial tree. I didn't know it was happening, but there was a Christmas tree shortage. I got a friend of mine that works in one of the lots, and he was telling me about it. He said, well, so what they're doing is they're pushing not just the traditional trees when you come in, they're pushing the dogwoods. Yeah, so I was like, how in the world would anybody tell the dogwood tree? And he's like, oh, you can tell by the bark. It's very clear. Yeah. There's a lot of shocking news with Christmas. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is getting a bad report card. Yeah, so he went down in history. And so... yeah. Anywho, I hope everybody got some great gifts for Christmas. I hope everybody got to give some gifts. We do gifts at the house for Christmas, of course. My wife and I don't exchange, though. We decided, just keep it with the kids, and so for years we haven't done it. But this year I thought, I'm just going to get her a little something. But you got to be careful, if you go down this road and, there's an agreement, we're not supposed to get gifts, but then you give a gift, and then why didn't you tell me I didn't get you a gift, and it turns into a problem. So I was like, I'll keep it small. So I wanted to get her some perfume. She likes to smell good. I went to the local department store, asked for some perfume, and the sales lady, helped me out. She showed me some perfume, and the first one was a pretty big bottle. Smelled nice. It was a name brand. I asked how much it was, and she said, it's $150. So I said, do you think I could get something maybe a little bit less expensive? So she took that bottle back, produced another bottle, a little smaller, different brand, still smelled nice. So I asked how much this one was, and she said, that'll be $75. I said, well, can we just get something a little bit less expensive? And so she takes that one back. She produces a little smaller bottle, different brand. Still smelled nice, though. And so I said, well, how much is this one? And she said, this one's $30. I was like, I'm sorry. I just want to see something really cheap. So she reaches under the counter and hands me a mirror. I'm terrible at shopping. Gifts, I'm not any good at shopping. Shoes, underwear, it takes me an hour and a half. I can't make a decision. Christmas is the same, and not only that, but I put it off till the end. And so, however, a friend of mine that works in the courthouse, we were talking about that, and she said, funny story, she works as a magistrate. That's like the person in the courthouse that kind of checks. So I don't know if you guys been charged with crime, you probably know what I'm talking about. So they have to tell them. So the magistrate says, what have you been charged with? And then they tell him. And so she asked this one gentleman what he was charged with, and he said Christmas shopping too early. And so she leans over and says, that's not a crime. How early did you go? And he said, well, I'm not sure what time it was. It was before the store opened, though. I, believe it or not, am a bookkeeper. I know it's probably odd, bookkeeper by day / accountant. So I used to be a truck driver, and I decided I wanted to go back to school, get a degree. So I went to community college, got an associate's degree in accounting. Best 7 years of my life. It's great. And so great thing about a bookkeeper is bookkeeper / bookkeeping. It's the only word in the English language with 3 consecutive double letters. So if you take nothing else from today, that's a pretty big deal. It's a great conversational starter. Bookkeeper, for kids, a bookkeeper does not work in the library. That is a librarian. Bookkeeper works with money, keeps the books, right? The income, the revenue, tracks the expenses, makes purchases, writes the checks, all that stuff, all that exciting stuff, So, I woke up one day and I used to be the guy in the 80s with the mullet and the Trans Am and listen to Van Halen. And then one day you wake up and you look like this. You have your sneakers and your khakis and your shirt, the guy from Progressive Insurance. I laughed at that commercial and I looked in that mirror and I was like, oh my gosh, that's me. But, it's a great occupation for a middle-aged guy, accountant. Old accountants never die, they just lose their balance. Debits, credits, some accountants are real extroverts. You can tell which accountants are the real outgoing extroverts. They'll look at your shoes when they're talking to you instead of their own. Are there any accountants in here? It's okay, yeah, okay, all right. The difference between an accountant and a lawyer? The accountant knows he's bored. So it just makes it, any lawyers in the house? Good. I read this story in Inside Nova recently. I've been Inside Nova, Bull Run Observer. One of these stories about the lady who is perfectly healthy, goes into the doctor to get a checkup, and is very surprised to find out she only has 6 months to live. Yeah, it's pretty tough to take. So she works through that. She asks the doctor what her options are, and he says, "Well, you could marry an accountant." And she's like, "That'll help me live longer?" He said, No, but it'll seem longer. They're so boring. It's not. It's a good skill to have, though. Not to make a profession out of, but on your own. To be able to take care of your personal finances, the money coming in and going, how to spend that money. It's not always easy when you have to share your spending philosophies with your wife, because sometimes those are different. Every guy in here probably knows that, and girl. And so that happened with us at home. Got a call a couple weeks ago from the police. They had apprehended somebody in a separate incident, but it turns out that they found my credit card on this guy. And so the police officer asked me if I know anything about that. And I said, well, as a matter of fact, my credit card was stolen about 6 months ago. He's like, why wouldn't you report that? I was like, well, the thief was spending less than my wife. So it's like, it's the lesser of the two evils. Just see. I've worked for Prince William County Schools, so as mentioned earlier. It's a great place to work, the leading employer in the county. And so the good thing about it is I did bookkeeping for a while. Now for a while I trained bookkeepers. So it just keeps getting so exciting. Great thing though about training bookkeepers is it's a little bit more of a people-oriented job. You get to meet people, bookkeepers, staff, principals. You help work with them to fill positions, And I just got a call, in fact, not long ago from a principal that said, we're looking for a bookkeeper. I said, didn't you hire one earlier this year? He said, yeah, that's the one we're looking for. Go on. So anyway, became a middle-aged doofus, pretty much. Sneakers McGee, as the kids like to say. Funny thing about what happens here is anybody ever heard of the sandwich generation? Yeah, so the sandwich generation, what happens to the sandwich generation is you get to this age and your kids have grown up. My kids have grown and they graduated high school and so they're still kind of with you. You're still taking care of them, but now your parents have aged a bit. And now you need to kind of help out with them. So you're kind of caught in the middle with helping out two generations here. And this has come up, in fact, my mother, she's she's getting older, having some health issues. And so we were looking into the idea that she may need to move back into the area. So I wanted to check out assisted living places and see what our options were, what was happening. I have a friend, go figure, and that works in an assisted living place, and I wanted to pick her brain about, what it's like. I'll talk about the environment, the relationships, the lifestyle, and she loves it. She loves the place she works. She was sharing, about how the staff really becomes connected with the residents and all, and how that works. And apparently, she told me a story of one gentleman that she's really close with, and they always meet at breakfast in this place. And one morning, he didn't come down. It was about an hour late than he normally is there. He's normally very punctual. And so after about an hour, she goes up to his room, knocks on the door. He's yelled out. He said, "I'm fine. I'm just running behind. I'll be down shortly." So she goes back down. Half an hour goes by. Still no sign of him. So she goes back up. She's heading up the stairs, and poor guy, he's grabbing onto the railing. He's uncoordinated. He can't get his legs to work correctly. And she's like, "We need to call an ambulance here." And he said, No, I'm just hungry. I need to get some breakfast. I'll be fine." So she helps him down, gets some breakfast. He goes to head back up. And at this point, he can't get anything to work correctly. He can't get up the first step. So they call the ambulance. They take him away to the hospital. So a couple hours later, she's concerned. She calls up to the hospital. Receptionist answered, wants to know how he's doing, and receptionist said, "Don't worry, he's fine. He got both of his legs stuck in one leg of his boxer shorts." So disaster averted. Had a happy ending. Really nice. My mother-in-law, on the other hand, she's a little more, she can get around pretty well. She likes to go on these charter tours with these groups, the other senior citizens. And so she was telling me recently about a story about a trip she went on, and right behind the driver, I guess, on this bus was a pretty rowdy group of elderly ladies. And so as they're driving, I guess apparently she's watching, and the one lady, taps the driver on the shoulder. Has a hand come out, opens it up. It's full of peanuts. She said, "Would you like some peanuts?" I guess he was hungry. He took them. So about 15 minutes later, comes the hand, takes the peanuts. 15 minutes later, out come the peanuts again. So he takes them and he's like, fine. He says, "How come you aren't eating any of these peanuts?" And she said, "Well, we're old, our teeth, they can't take crunching on all those peanuts." So he said, "Well, why did you buy them?" And she said, "We just love the chocolate coating." I heard somebody say, "Oh, that poor guy." Man. So I have other hobbies besides, killing it in comedy. Bookkeeping and accounting. I like to hang around musicians. You know what they call someone who hangs around musicians? A drummer. That's right. I'm sorry, Paul. You know what? It's how it works out, with drummers. You know the difference between a drummer and a savings bond? A savings bond eventually matures and makes money. You know the difference between a drummer and a large pizza? A large pizza can feed a family of 4. You can tell if there's a drummer at your front door? The knock speeds up. Musicians will get that. You know why the drummer froze to death? He didn't know when to come in. You never do. I am a drummer, so I can tell these jokes. Now, one time I was at a conference, like a dinner, with my wife, and I forget the situation, but there was a lot of people at the table, and so we're kind of just sitting around, and at one point, the lady next to me brings up that her son was a drummer. And so, seeing the green light, I immediately launched into, the jokes. And after about the third one, she looks at me and she says, "It's a lot tougher than it looks." I said, "It's okay, ma'am. I'm a drummer. It's fine. I can tell these jokes. So there's just jokes. It's okay. However, I wouldn't go changing his room around when he moves out, because he's going to be back." I didn't say that. I was thinking. Musicians, you can get like other people. I'm not going to just sit here and just pick on drummers. You know how many light bulb, you know how many lead singers it takes to change a light bulb? None. They'll just steal somebody else's light. You guys are attention-seeking. You know how to get a guitarist to stop playing? Put sheet music in front of them. They're just fumbling around. It's really great to be here. It's great to come back. I have actually drummed here some time back. It's good to see a lot of the kids as they're getting older. As I mentioned, my kids recently graduated, and graduations are fun. They're milestones. It's going to be happening for you guys very soon, parents, really soon. And in fact, the last graduation I went to, I was sitting in the stands and waiting, they're calling the names, and it turned out the lady next to me, who was a friend, her student was in this ceremony as well. And as they're calling the names, they call his name, and he comes walking across, and he falls into a gap in the wood. Well, this is very concerning, so we were all worried, and she said, no, don't worry, it's just a stage he's going through. Yeah. I'm soaking it up. I appreciate you all. There is a funny thing about this is, before I wrap it up, is anybody ever heard of the 4-H club? There's a couple of different ones. There's one that's I think it's health and home and hand, and then there's also the horticultural farming is the 4-H club. And so a while back I came up with my 4-H club. How do you get through, how do you get through parenting, how do you get through your job, how do you get through all these different things? And the 4-H's are first hymn, get through, that's like the key part of the 4-H. The next one is honesty, just being honest, being real, you'll be fine. Being humble, knowing when you're not so good at something, but we wouldn't have any. It's got to be, so humility, and then finally, humor. You got to be able to laugh at yourself, and so that's why I was thrilled to have this opportunity to come up here and tell some stories and have a few laughs, and to wish you all a Happy New Year. Thank you very much.
Something with your wife, we just want to give you that, and put it down.